Now tell me about this letter from Ethiopia that just changed your life.
Well, I actually have a copy of it here.
Oh.
It was actually an email that I received in December of 2008 from a dear friend of mine in Ethiopia who is the director of an orphanage there. And I met her actually in 2006 on my first mission trip to Ethiopia with a wonderful organization called Visiting Orphans. And we kept in touch since that trip. And so in December of 2008, I received this email from her, which was very upsetting to me, and I'll read just an excerpt of it for you so that you can hear in her own words just what she was facing as the director of an orphanage with 35 infants to feed. She writes, "Since the past few months, shortage of formula has been one of the most devastating problems in Ethiopia. As I was struggling to find formula at the market, I tracked some down at the black market. Right now, most likely buying illegal drugs is easier than finding baby formula. Some people tell me you should not buy anything at the black market, but they do not know how it feels to not find formula when you have over 35 babies, 20 of whom are under 5 months, who aren't ready for other alternative foods. To ensure my tiny babies not face starvation, I was ready to steal formula, much less buy it at the black market. Thank God so far I didn't have to steal, so you don't need to pray for forgiveness for me. Just pray for miracles, that the stress of no formula will be removed permanently." And then she goes on to list 5 things that she asks us to pray for. And at the top of her list is for formula. She says, "Pray for formula for all the many orphans, including the many babies being born to HIV-positive mothers, that God will intervene to this problem."
Wow, Carolyn, what a story.
It really is. I mean, when you get this letter in the mail, though, obviously it moves me to think about these children that are laying there that could possibly die because of lack of formula.
Absolutely.
What went through your mind at that time that says, I can do something to make a difference about this?
I was literally beside myself, and I knew when I read that line that she was praying God would intervene to this problem. I knew that I was being called to act, to use my wings as a flight attendant and to be part of that intervention, and to ask my flight attendant friends to use their benefits to do the same thing. And we just decided to join forces and involve as many flight attendants as we could. So she's recruiting from American, I'm recruiting from Continental.
Yeah, because you aren't the only flight attendants that are involved in this. Can you tell us more about this?
Right. As I said, I'm flying for Continental, but we just merged with United, so we've got 2 bases covered in one here.
Wow,
Very
great.
soon I'll be recruiting some girls from United, and my sister flies for Delta. So she's coming with us on our upcoming mission to Guatemala over Thanksgiving. So we'll have Delta, American, Continental, now United, all on the same mission.
That is fabulous. Continental Airlines recently published an article in their in-flight magazine regarding Formula One, correct?
Yes, that's correct. A couple of months ago, we were featured in Continental's in-flight magazine, which has a readership of 2.4 million around the world. So we were very excited about that, and that's opened some wonderful doors of opportunity for service elsewhere around the world. And it's also led to us receiving our first grant. So we're so thankful to Continental for showing that corporate support and that public show of care in this way.
Welcome back. Every day, thousands of children around the world die from starvation and malnutrition. It's a sad reality that deeply affected a local flight attendant. But Mary Beth Lavin was determined to do something about it. She started a nonprofit group called Formula One Life, and together with other flight attendants, she now raises money to buy formula and other nutritional supplements for millions of children who are direly in need. Mary Beth recently returned from a trip to Ethiopia. In fact, she just got back in the last couple of days, and she's joining us live this morning to tell us about her mission and how you can help. And I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Amy.
Mary Beth is a friend of Good Day. She's actually been with us before, so we're so glad you're here to talk about your mission. And talk to me first of all about this trip. Was this an especially moving trip for you?
Yes, it was. It was our most intense trip yet. We were able to visit 5 orphanages in truly dire need. One of them was a government-run orphanage, and it had 140 infants and children, 70 infants in dire need of formula, and they have had recent deaths due to malnutrition. So we were able to see that in person, and it was very moving.
If you guys weren't there to help, where do these orphanages go to get help? Are they forced to try to rely on their own governments?
They are, and there is not much support from the government at all, to say the least. So they really do rely on organizations like ours to provide the support. Formula, for example, in Ethiopia, a can this size is about $16 per can. So an orphanage with about 70 infants is going to cost about $4,000 a month to properly feed them the formula that they need. So they really do need some dire support.
How difficult is it for you to get this formula to these countries? Because I know that sometimes the governments aren't always welcoming.
Actually, they have been welcoming us. That hasn't been a problem. We've been able to provide a lot of support. On this last trip, we delivered over $9,000 worth of formula and vital aid to the 5 orphanages in need, primarily through financial donations, which we brought with us and purchased the formula at the stores in country.
How happy are they to see you coming?
They are very grateful, and we are very blessed to be able to help.
What does that feel like, Mary Beth, to hold these children? We have these pictures of you, you know, in the orphanages with the other flight attendants. What is that like for you to hold these children, to know that you are providing, you know, formula for them, providing life, providing a future?
It's humbling. It's humbling to be called and to be able to actually help feed infants in such desperate need.
How desperate is the need?
Very desperate. The pictures that you're seeing are of the orphanages that are not quite as desperate as the government-run orphanage, which we saw, which has had infant deaths. They don't allow pictures, so the ones you're seeing are actually the good ones. But they too need the support. They all need the support.
Let's talk about adoption, because you have a good friend who actually adopted one of these infants, and we have pictures of Quebec. We want to show some before and after pictures last year versus this year, and he's such an adorable child. But talk to me about what the options are for people who are watching this right now and think, oh, I just want to go get one of those babies.
Well, Ethiopia generally has a waiting process of about 1.5 years. The fees vary, but they range from between about $15,000 to $20,000 to adopt. But there are a lot of programs out there with grants and the likes to help people that would be interested in adopting. And Ethiopia certainly is in need of adoptive families. They have 5 million orphans.
And Mary Beth, your website again, so people can help you to help others.
Formula1life.org.
All right, it's such an incredible organization. I'm so glad to have you come back and talk to us about your latest trip. Thank you so much, Mary Beth Lavin from Formula One Life. Let's send it over to Jim now.
This is Lisa with Real Hope for Haiti, and this is the amount of formulas left.
This is what we had left. We had a little bit more than this morning, but we've used some, so this is what we have left as of now for our little babies.
This is unbelievable. Thank you, God.
Thank you, God, that's right.
We're at Real Hope for Haiti, and these guys are a clinic for the malnourished, and as you can see, they've got some little children here that are obviously malnourished and in need of some medical care. I'm so glad we were able to bring the vitamins and the baby formula and the water purification systems and things like that here. This is
for them personally and for the host
so our timing was very God perfect for you, because
your timing was,
you've got several babies here that you need formula for.
yes.
And if you wouldn't have had formula,
Our only other option for formula is to try to go in Port-au-Prince and buy it somewhere, which that's, you know,
$43 a can.
Yes, it's very expensive. It's hard to find, and so I just prayed that what you guys were bringing would, what I had would last until you got here today. So we are so thankful, and we appreciate so much the donation, and it's touching lives and changing lives here. These kids are the future of Haiti, and we just appreciate it so much. Appreciate it so much.
Newark Airport is a hub for more than just the 34 million passengers who fly through every year.
Turns out it's also a hub for life-saving work.
I learned that recently when I flew with some flight attendants on a Thanksgiving mission to feed orphans in Guatemala.
Newark-based flight attendant Mary Beth Lavin has packing down to a formula.
About 5 years ago, I received an email from a friend of mine who was the director of an orphanage in Ethiopia. She had 35 infant orphans to care for and no baby formula to feed them. I filled my luggage with as much formula as possible and flew it to her myself.
That was the birth of Formula One Life, a nonprofit made up of flight attendants who use their free travel benefits to provide formula and baby supplies to orphans in third world countries.
There you go.
It didn't take long for Mary Beth's United Airlines colleagues to get on board.
Oh, my word.
Carrie Faber is also based out of Newark. She volunteered for the organization's annual Thanksgiving mission to Amor del Niño, an orphanage in Guatemala.
Your heart opens up and immediately you just want to love the children.
Using donations, the team bought $5,000 worth of formula at a local supermarket, enough to feed the more than 24 infant orphans for about 2 months.
There's something very beautiful and powerful in being able to feed a child.
The flight attendants' mission to bring nutrition to these infant orphans is more important than ever. Baby kidnapping and corruption led the Guatemalan government to suspend international adoptions back in 2008, and the number of infant orphans has been growing.
From just last year to this year, we've seen an increase of about 30 new newborns.
Cheryl Osborne is the orphanage director.
Without the help of Formula One Life, we wouldn't be able to bring the babies the nutrition that they are getting. They are the lifeline for these babies, absolutely.
I'm just so thankful that we're able to help, and especially during the season of Thanksgiving, giving thanks for our own blessings and giving back.
Formula One Life also serves orphanages in Ethiopia and Haiti. For more information on how you can help them, log on to news12.com and click on numbers and links.
What an incredible effort and making a difference in so many lives, especially with what's going on there.
Great people.
Yeah.